wanted to make a world where everybody was a vegan.
A world where everybody is a vegan. That's our dream.
Right.
We met in the mid-60s. It was a time of great social upheaval. It was like the 50s were very, very straight and narrow, and black and white movies, and Doris Day and Rock Hudson and Live Happily Ever After, that whole facade. And the 60s broke right through that and said, no, we have to get deeper than that. What is really going on here? And a whole generation rose up and said, I don't want to live with your bigotry and your lies and your shallowness and your rules, because they don't make sense to me. I want to find another way. And that was the time. Everybody wanted their rights. Black people were rising against the white people. Women were rising against men. Young people were rising against the older generation. They were all saying, no, we want to change. We want a new way.
For a minute in history, very sad for me to think of it. The 60s, young people ruled the world for a minute. By young people, I mean, you could go anywhere in the United States. I'm sure it's true all over the world where they had young people revolting in their way. Really, they were evolving in their way.
We met in the height of that. And we were a little older than the hippies then, but we had both been searching separately. And when we met, we felt that we found a comrade in the search for the first time in our lives. He said, the world tells me that there is no truth. The truth is up to the beholder. There is no black, there is no white. Everything is gray, depending on how you see it. But I don't believe that. I believe there is a truth, and I am going to dedicate my life to finding that truth and living it. I was swept right off my feet. My whole life I wanted to find the truth and live it, and I hadn't found any yet. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I kind of gave up. So we got together on that. That was our relationship. It wasn't, you're cute, I'm cute, let's get together. Although we were pretty cute. But it was more like, let's get together and let's find these truths, and then let's help each other to live them. And our whole relationship was based on that shared vision. And we didn't know what it was. We didn't know what the truth was. We just thought it was something idealistic and noble, and we wanted to be that. We wanted to live virtuous lives. We wanted to know what was right and what was wrong. We wanted to live it.
We went to a movie, some kind of expose movie called Mondo Cane, A Dog's World. They had 5 guys in fishing boots up to their thighs, fishing boots, hitting a bull over the head with sledgehammers. And he was a big bull, and he didn't just drop down from one blow. They kept hitting as hard as a man could hit. And Son and I walked out of the theater and said, whoa, is that how they get meat? I wasn't a kid. I was about 29 at the time. Well, we said, we're looking for truth. We can't do that anymore. What are we going to eat? Says I. As it turned out, we ate a lot of peanuts and raisins and canned corn and we didn't mind it a bit. In fact, it still tastes good to me, like peanuts and raisins, because we knew we were doing right. It was the first time in our lives that we knew we were doing right, and nobody could refute it. And still can't. It's right. There's no question about it. That's a cruel act. And if it's a cruel act, it's wrong. Irrefutable. Well, pretty much nothing that is now was then. There were no health food stores. It's interesting, when people are very young, they draw a line from their memory, and they think things were always that way. But there were no such word as health food store. And there was no tofu. Nobody I knew about it. And there were none of the things you have today. You didn't have Oreos in a vegan fashion.
It was easy because we knew it was right. I can't emphasize that point enough. When I saw that man hitting that bull over the head, I will never forget it. And the bull did not die in one hit. He screamed, and they kept hitting him. And each blow, he screamed, and they kept hitting him over and over again until he died. It was the first time in my life that I understood that truth is felt on every level of your being. You don't need anyone to tell you. You don't need any gods or teachers or books or anything to tell you that that doesn't feel good. So because of that, because it was the first time we were living the truths that we had discovered, it was fun. Not only was it easy, it was fun. It was like, wow, all right, so what, it's the first time I fried rice, I didn't know you have to boil it first.
And I tried to say it was okay. I couldn't even chew it. It's okay. Not quite like my mom made.
There's a certain joy in doing what's right because that's where the empowerment is. Right is might. You know, it's an evolutionary process. First, we stopped eating meat. And then we would talk to people about it, and they would say, well, maybe you're wearing leather shoes. Who are you to talk? And then we'd say, they're right. We're wearing leather shoes. We had to get rid of our leather. We buried it. We did a proper burial. And then we visited a dairy. And we saw, and that was before factory farming. And they had this really good cream on the milk, you know, in those days they would make it like, you could actually see the cream on top, and their ice cream was really good. They were a dairy. It was good, and we got hooked on it. Until one day, I don't know which one of us said it, but we said, maybe we should look behind the scenes. Because the farm was right there. It's upstate New York. Let's take a look and see what's going on. This was before factory farming, as I say, but it was enough for us. It was enough to see that these poor innocent creatures were imprisoned in this place. They didn't have a life. They were at the mercy of the merciless. It's a horrible place to be, and you could see it in their eyes how sad they were. And then you could see their udders were this big, you know, because they have to keep them making more milk, and so they're making a business out of something that feels and thinks, and the creatures are a horrendous thing. You have to really shut off a major part of you to do that. So we saw that, and we left, and we said, our dairy days are numbered. And then one day we just said, are you ready? Haven't had enough. And that was it. And that was 40 years ago.
It impacted us in all ways. There were friends that we lost who didn't want to know us anymore, friends of many years. And then there were new friends that we never thought would be that close with us, that supported our move. Family, they were mainly concerned with our health.
They just thought that, you know, we would die, we wouldn't get our protein. But they really did. I mean, Light's mother, for a while, she would like sneak a little chicken soup into the broth because she was afraid. She was actually afraid. There was nobody around saying it was healthier at that time. This is 40 years ago. Nobody said that. So I guess a few people did say that, but the mindset was, we won't get your protein. So that's pretty much how they reacted.
As if we were the ones out of balance, when in truth they were eating pieces of other creatures. We thought they were out of balance. We knew it was healthier because we knew it was right. We knew if something was right. It can't cause you to keel over and die. That wouldn't seem fair. So we were never worried. I used to say, protein, schmotein. What is it? We're getting what we want because it's what we're meant to eat. And now, of course, it's proven to be much healthier. It's wonderful. It's one of the most reasons for optimism we see, is how that has changed. In the 40 years, a lot of things haven't gotten better. Murders are on the increase, things like that, wars and all that kind of stuff. But the one thing that's positive is that people are seeing that they're in a position to stop a great cruelty on the planet. Most of the times we can't stop the war in Afghanistan or Iraq. What are we going to do? Imagine how hopeful it would be if, say in the 30s or the 40s, the young Southern kids, the student years, decided they weren't going to be bigots like their parents. Or if in Nazi Germany in about 1941, the young people said, we're not going to allow concentration camps and killing. What if somebody did that? That's the great hope here, is that there's a lot of young, particularly young, not only young, people who are seeing that they can actually take away a horror, like the concentration camps, except this time it's mainly with animals. Not only animals, those are people who work. Can you imagine working in that field? You can imagine what they must take out on their poor spouses when they get home from killing all day. It's like the SS troops. That's the reality of it.
I think people who understand why they're becoming vegan, it's not just a diet for health or environment or whatever. Why? Because it's a stand against all the cruelty and injustice and exploitation that we all wish would go away. It's the most powerful statement anybody can make against all the injustice of the world to become a vegan. That's people want to become vegan for that reason, because they see the truth of it and they see the importance of it. It's a piece of cake. It's not hard at all, especially now. They got vegan pizza and vegan ice cream and vegan malted and vegan milk and vegan cheese and vegan. It's very, very easy, extremely easy. It's only hard for people who don't really see the truth of it and think they're doing it for other reasons, like it's like cheating, like you're on a diet or something and you're cheating. A lot of people think of vegan as a diet, somewhere in between vegetarian and raw food. Vegan is not a diet. Its diet is just a part of it. I have the power inside myself not to support any of these businesses that take innocent animals and enslave them and torture them, breed them, and use them and murder them brutally. I don't have to do that. Look at that. I can't stop them. The government's on their side. I can't stop them, but I can stop me. I don't have to support it. I'm totally free not to.
It's as if we had been talked into believing that we were lions and tigers from early infancy. We were taught that we were made to eat flesh, just like a wolf cub.
And suckle other animals.
And suckle other animals. This was talked into us. The truth is not that. The anatomical truth is not that. Talk about conspiracies. I don't think there's a greater conspiracy than the one that has convinced people that they should, even though they're dropping dead right and left, that they should eat animals and take their milk, and that's good for them. And it's all because they're thinking that it's okay and it's not okay. In any sense of the word, it's not okay.
Transformation, total transformation. And it doesn't stop. At 40-year vegan, I'm more transformed than I was when I was a 30-year vegan or a 20-year vegan. It keeps going. It's like evolution. It doesn't stop. You change. Everything about me has changed. The way I sense things, the way I see things. My whole understanding of this whole spiritual movie, is there a God? Isn't there God? The whole understanding of following my conscience and letting my conscience be my God. Eliminating need for all others. I mean, just imagine if the world did that, really. If everybody let their conscience be their God. That would be it. We wouldn't need any laws, any books, anything. Everybody would do unto everybody else the way they would want to be done unto. It's the hope that we see when we look out into this sad, suffering world. One of the great hopes, one of the great things that keeps me optimistic is that evolution is actually happening. The vegan evolution, the evolution toward veganism, is the evolution that humanity needs. Let's say I was a fairy godmother, and I could make a wand and make the whole world do any one thing, or be any one thing. I would make them vegan, because if everybody became vegan, nobody would have to be afraid of each other anymore.
And when you find a truth, as we have, well, truths, it's not one truth, it's a whole bunch of them. They go on and on. You find a truth like that, you have to pass it on. I think it's an basic primal need of humanity, humans.
When you were a vegan in 1970, don't forget, we didn't even know there was a word vegan. We thought we made up the concept one step at a time, and we thought we were the only ones in the world who were doing that, not using anything that came from an animal. That was our thing. No wool, no silk, nothing that comes from cruelty. We didn't want to support that anymore. So when we did that, it was kind of lonesome. It was a very different world than the one now. It wasn't. There was no internet where you can punch it up and find out everything you want to know about it. It didn't exist. So when Birds came along, he said, "What are you doing?" And we said, "We're vegan. Why?" And we told him why. And he said, "Oh, makes sense to me. I'll do it too." And then somebody else came along and said it, and somebody else came along. But we wanted to live together because there was no other support.
And before we knew, it was a time of community. It was a time of communes. It was the 60s and 70s. So it was a very different mindset about it. People knew to cooperate and to live tribally.
It was very cool to live
It
communally
was
in
cool.
those days.
Right.
It was just so much better financially, economically. We couldn't afford to live separately. We couldn't afford to rent separate places or to pay separate bills or get separate cars. You know, we just had to share. Sharing was necessary, and since we were the only vegans we knew in the world, we loved it.
We didn't want to fight the world. You know, we all felt that the world as it was and the life that we had been offered wasn't what we wanted. And we found ourselves fighting it all the time. We wanted to make a world where everybody was a vegan. And that's what we did.
A world where everybody was a vegan. That's our dream.
Right. This is 454 acres in the Mongaluka Mountains in the far north of New Zealand, surrounded by scenic and conservation land. It's a huge valley that we live in with our own little mountain, not that little, that we climb to the top of and then climb down, and we have another valley there. And we have gardens, beautiful vegetable gardens, beautiful flower gardens here. We try to make it as paradisical as we possibly can, and why not?
The rivers, don't forget the rivers.
And the rivers, yeah, we have 2 rivers that meet on our land. Each of them comes out from the bush in a different place. You can drink the water from it because we're the first to get it.
No, this is part of a dream to have a place where we could plant fruit trees and beautiful trees and, just have a lot of room to move around and make things better. And we took about 3 miles of barbed wire off this land when we bought it. The land is so happy, as we are, to have this place.
We're getting more and more into becoming vegan educational centers. We've always been that. We've always been a vegan educational center, but the focus is much more on that, and we're becoming more of an international vegan educational center where people come from all over the world just to learn how to be vegan, or to see how we live communally, or to see how we live ecologically, or to learn how to cook and things like that. And all our cooking classes, all our seminars, all our consultations are offering mostly the young people that come from everywhere in the world.
We had some woman from Kazakhstan. That's Kazakhstan. First person I've ever known.
They come here and they're willing. They really are, most of them, very willing to help. It's exciting for them. They're moved by this land. I love being able to share this place with the young people. And young people are a big hope. When I spoke about evolution, that we're actually evolving, and that's the hope I see in the world. I see that with young people. Karina, at 5 years old, said to her meat-eating family, "I don't want to eat meat anymore." Well, I can't stress enough that that was unheard of when I was 5 years old. This is evolution. She's not the only one. There are kids now 12 years old, 5 years old, 3 years old saying, this is evolution happening here. And when young people come, they are moved by the vegan message. Different people to different degrees. A lot of them actually become vegan here. A lot of them. I would like to be batting 1,000, but we're batting pretty good. So we are giving them this gift of veganism and this beautiful place because many of them come from cities and they never seen a place like this. They never experienced a place like this. And in exchange, they help us to make this place better. It's a beautiful thing.
Now we're getting into a phase where we realize that being online, we can affect so many more people that way. And so we're having our website redesigned to reflect everything to inspire that spark of everybody inside them that's vegan, because we believe that everybody has that, no matter who they are. If they have a conscience, there's a vegan living inside them. It might be this much, it might be this much, it might be this much, it might be whatever, but everybody's got that. And we want to use this website to inspire that part of everybody to come out of the closet.
We held a couple of celebrity banquets where actually son got the bright idea to celebrate
World Vegetarian Day, Mahatma Gandhi's birthday.
Mahatma
Right.
Gandhi's birthday. Who was it?
We had Casey Kasem, the top 40 guy, who our friend Michael Clapper had influenced to be vegan. So he was kind of a friend, and he agreed to host it. And River Phoenix at the time agreed to co-sponsor it. We invited people, free also, to experience the food. This was in the late 80s, where before they knew how delicious vegan food could be. Now it's getting much more common, but in those days, people shied away from it because they thought, it doesn't taste good, it's bland, it's whatever. So we made this vegan feast.
21 main dishes.
Unbelievable. One booth was just Mediterranean dishes, the other one was Oriental dishes, the other one was American dishes, the other one was just the dessert. And a lot of celebrities came, and they experienced it. I don't know what came of it, but our motto was to inspire those who are an inspiration to others. And our hope was that if they were inspired, they would inspire others to do the same. Everybody was so blown away by the food. In fact, one of the celebrities' husbands wanted us to open a restaurant in LA. He was going to bankroll it, and he said, "I'll guarantee you'll have celebrities every night." Blah, blah, blah. The food was so outrageous, but we couldn't live in LA. We couldn't breathe in LA.
That was
So
the
there was no way we could do that. And everybody said, "You should open a restaurant. You should open a restaurant." But if you don't open a restaurant in a city, you're not going to do business. But then we realized when we went to Hawaii to spend the winter and thought about moving there, that Maui was a place that we could open a vegan restaurant with all those tip people there, and we could live there instead of living in a city. Hey, we could do that. That's something we could do, and that's what we did.
We called it the vegan so that people would ask.
What's that?
We named our first vegan dog Vegan so that people would ask, what's vegan mean? And we would explain it to them.
The facts are out. Vegetarian is not enough, because the meat, the dairy industry, the egg industry, the honey industry, the wool industry, the leather industry, the fur industry, those industries are using creatures in horrendous ways. These animals are crying out for our help, and we can't deny them any more than we could deny anybody. It's not enough. We have to say, vegan is the way. It's not humane slaughter. There's no grass-fed beef. There's no cage-free. It's not about that. It's about they do not belong to us. We don't know who they are. To assume that these creatures who are mystery belong to us, to do as we please with them, is an arrogance that could cause a lot of suffering in the world.
I do. I think that it's nothing less than this next step to the evolution of humanity. And I think also that it's a necessary step, that without it, I don't see another hope.
It can't be circumnavigated.
Every time a human being does that, the entire human race is lifted to another level of consciousness and is evolved.